SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Man, a lot of you, especially those of you that are SEC fans who are watching and listening to us on Cecil Hurt, man, he does bring the knowledge, and some of you, golly, it's just, oh my gosh. 254-339-1122. I need to clarify something, get to some calls. Craig Smoak to my right. This is Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoak, SicEm365 Radio. 365 is the channel on YouTube. And some of you have brought this up. Is this a Baylor channel, a Big 12 channel? What do you do? SicEm365 Radio. We then started launching the YouTube recently, the channel, and this college football discussion has exploded with us. And we have all gotten to know each other. We are going to cover what we cover, and college football is a massive part and thorough part of what we will bring your way. And I just saw where a Syracuse Orange fan asked, and so good to have you on the show as well. Your answer to that question is yes. 254-339-1122. A sports attorney and Dan Luss will join us to kind of explain any of this, all the legal stuff going on right now at 4 o'clock. Esteban in Arizona, thanks for your call. You're on SicEm365 Radio.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, I'm just like everybody else. I found your radio station this week after all the news exploded with Texas and Oklahoma moving. But I'm calling to ask about the Pac-12. You know, I'm a huge University of Arizona fan. I want the Pac-12 to be as successful as they could possibly be. After kind of reading everything that's kind of gone on, I was looking at like what their options would be to really kind of put them in the best spot. You know, I really wanted Oklahoma State to be added as a school, but I kind of, after looking at everything, I really don't feel like adding any of the current Big 12 schools, you know, would be like a good fit for the Pac-12. But I've been reading a lot about how there's like, you know, potential mergers or like alliances with the Big Ten. Instead of a merger, I really like the idea of seeing them align with the Big Ten in terms of scheduling and getting something like that set up, and then partnering with. Doesn't sound like Fox is in a good position, because it really sounds like, you know, these networks are really kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes. But you know, maybe aligning with the Big Ten in terms of scheduling, and then heading on over to CBS, and just trying to increase their revenue without really adding any schools. I really want to know what your guys' opinion is of what you think the Pac-12 could do to like put itself in the best position.
They got to find out who they are. They have to find out what their mission statement is. The new commissioner has to figure out what people want, because that's why they have been kind of fragile. The TV contract's been okay. They've kind of just been forgotten about at times.
I also think the biggest thing the Pac-12 needs to do is stop looking down their nose at schools they don't feel worthy. Because the SEC probably does that to some regard, but like they've not done that, and they're too was Arkansas worthy? Arkansas was worthy of the SEC in 1992. You know, A&M and Missouri were worthy 10, 11 years ago, and Oklahoma and Texas are worthy now. They didn't get in the weeds over, you know, philosophies or all these different things. And I think that's a big thing, is that the Pac-12 schools need to have leadership that says, like, guys, we're all going to be different. We're all going to have different mission statements as schools. People go to colleges for different reasons. People move to states for different reasons. Let's not stand on our high horse about what we espouse as our values, knowing that through 12 schools, they're probably different, even with the ones that have similar things. So, you know, do what's best for the league and what's for the best for your athletics going forward, not what, you know, you might think is right in some kind of, you know, hill you want to stand on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Pac-12 is a little snooty, to be honest with you. You know, I was looking at a reporter, Jeff Schwartz, who played in the Pac-12. I think he does some radio stuff on Sirius, and he said earlier today, I just spent 10 hours at Pac-12 Media Day. Not a single person in that conference wants a Big 12 team in the league. So while merging with the Pac-12 might be best, it doesn't work if the conference doesn't want any of the remaining teams. Everyone discussed finding ways to merge or partner with the Big Ten. So, yeah, I'm not a buyer in the Big 12 schools going over to the Pac-12. I know that, Texas Tech fans have been big on that, or at least some of them have been. But I think this Big 10 and Pac-12 thing is going to be the next thing to watch, the next shoe to potentially drop. I don't know how much gas there really is to this fire, but there has been some smoke this week on them doing the cross-scheduling thing, as you mentioned, or doing an all-out alliance. I saw the theory that, maybe the Big Ten is wanting to pluck like the top 6 schools. So they'd go grab Oregon, USC, UCLA, and whoever the other 2 or 3 would be. And making the Super Big Ten Conference. But it is kind of interesting when you hear the rumors, like the ACC is under contract, but they still have some problems that they need to deal with, including the fact that I think every conference in America now is very aware of what the SEC did to the Big 12. And so if you're the ACC and you're looking at your contracts and kind of what that looks like, and you see those rumors about Clemson or Florida State or someone like that jumping, I mean, everybody's on high alert now, you know what I mean? So I think everybody is being proactive, and that's why I think there is something to this Big Ten Pac-12 thing. But it is interesting to me that, let's say there was some legs to the SEC wanting to go even further, and it looks like the ACC would be that direction. I mean, is it impossible in your guys' minds to think of the possibility of these 5 Power 5 conferences suddenly becoming one giant Northwest Conference and one giant Southeast Conference? Because if you plug the Pac-10 and the Big 12 together, Pac-12, what I keep saying Pac-10, Pac-12 and Big 10 together, there's the entire, it's almost like drawing a line diagonally across the country. And I kind of wonder if that's maybe the direction we're going a little bit. But I think the Pac-12 is in a good position right now. Maybe not, I mean, they are a little too selective perhaps, but I don't know. Maybe the right move isn't adding these Big 12 teams, especially if you don't think they're going to bring a lot of value, and especially if, you're kind of morally feeling like you're a little bit above them, which seems to be the case right now.
All right, we got to take a break, Paul.
Yeah.
One more.
That's one more call because we won't be able to do it for an hour.
All right, okay.
All right, Jake from Oklahoma, thanks for your call. You're on SicEm365 Radio.
Hi, I was going to ask you guys, do you think that if the Big 12 disbands, do you think these conferences, I should say, would go to 4 power conferences, or do you think if the Big 12 stays, they'll be able to maintain their Power 5 with this new 12-team playoff, or do you just think they'll fall off and be forgotten?
Great question both ways. The 4 power conferences is kind of what a lot of people have thought since, 5 or 6, 8, 10 years ago. Paul, you started talking about that. And if they stay together and they're a part of the college football play, I think if they somehow find a way to stay together, I feel like if they can stay together, weather the storm, get some of this money that they're owed from Texas and Oklahoma, and who knows what happens with ESPN, that I feel like, just have a feeling that they'll find a way. I really do. I'm not saying anyone, no one's given me that inclination. That's just me, to survive and find a way. And if they do, I do believe that they will be a part of the National College Football Playoff.
Yeah, I think it's impossible right now to say that anything is a certainty, other than we know Texas and OU are now SEC teams, at least in theory in the future. But other than that, we really don't know. It's kind of crazy, all the moving parts, and I'm ready to see what the next shoe is to drop, because we might think we know what the path forward looks like, but if all of a sudden you hear the Pac-12 is pursuing, something with the Big Ten, or another team decides to jump ship, then that throws everything up in the air once again and completely rearranges the pieces of the puzzle. So I think there's a lot of different pieces out there right now. You can start to kind of put together one corner, and then the next thing you know, like, the pieces change, and it's like, okay, now you got to rearrange. So I think there's still a lot of arranging going on, but the big shoes dropped with OU and Texas. So now what is the response to that from the ACC, from the Big Ten, from the Pac-12? Do they stay pat? If they stay pat, that bodes well, I think, for the Big 12. And even if they don't, that could bode well, because depending on who you might take, who would be left over, that potentially the Big 12 could take a look at, like the Arizona schools, for example. But that's if there's a lot more rearranging.
Here's another Pac-12 360 text. I'm a lifelong Huskies fan, Pac-12 fan. Thought it was crazy to think the Big Ten could raid our schools, but just read that could be an extra $30 million each.
There you go.
Could be doubled for UW, Oregon, Southern Cal, UCLA, Stanford, Cal, The Big Ten, if they add you, that means they know that they're going to make a hell of a lot more money, and they're already making $50 million plus per school. So that's the way they would do it if they know. And if they know and they bring you on, you're going to get that piece as well.
But, hey, if that were to happen and all of a sudden Big 12's got Utah, Arizona State, potentially go grab BYU even though they're not in the Pac-12.
Would that float your boat?
I think it would. Hell yeah.
I think it would, too.
That would be legit. Go grab Arizona State, Utah. Whoever's left over there. Colorado. Come on. Bring them. Texas isn't around anymore. Colorado should be okay. Yeah, that would work.
All right, when we come back, the legalese trying to